Good morning and hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Evently Chat Show. Today we have a very special guest, one of the founders of Glitch Festival. Very exciting show. We're going to be covering a lot of topics regarding the risk, the struggle and the passion involved when executing such a large festival, an underground or soon to be bigger than underground house and techno festival. I'm going to put in Kevin Ellul into the stream now, as well as my partner, Jonathan. So bear with me 1 second. Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Hi guys, good morning.
Good morning. It's going great. Excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited, and I'm also missing a very good party or a very good festival. I'm craving it at this point. How about you guys?
Thanks for the invite, guys. I guess everyone's a little bit disappointed with the situation at the moment. Hopefully, won't be missing out so much. Well, we'll have to wait and see. There's really no end date at this moment in time.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean glitch was a staple in the industry, and I'm sure people will be lining up harder for the next one.
yeah. So let's start with the first question, Kevin. What and who is Glitch Festival?
So we've been around since 2016. So this would have been our fifth edition. Um, uh, Glitch Festival is a local brand, so it's just made up of a couple of crazy Maltese guys. We've been around in events, organizing club shows for almost 18 years, I guess, since 2003. So it's about a lifetime ago. Well, one fine day we decided to take things up a notch and go even more crazy and organize a festival.
Yes. In fact, that is one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because what you guys do is borders on the line of insanity. It's such a mammoth and ambitious task, and I was always curious how, like, the founding fathers came about this and say, let's do this. Let's have one of the top festivals with the best acts in the world.
So, well, it was a kind of a natural progression into the festival. As I said, we had been doing a number of club shows. The scene was very strong, not just us. So there's always been a number of promoters, mainly revolving around the Liquid Club. Well, we came up with the idea, and we discussed it with mainly our competition at the time, and it was like a 2-minute decision. Yes, we'll go for it. It sounds like a good idea. Everyone was on the same page, so and it made sense.
Amazing.
Cool. All right. So now with the COVID, I mean, unfortunately, like most, if not all festivals, um, even like Glastonbury, Rockfest, and all this, they have been cancelled for this year.
Yeah.
What is the impact, if it's in any difference to Glitch Festival? What does it mean? What does it mean for you guys as organizers and for the festival goers?
Well, it's impacted everyone very negatively, especially in the entertainment industry. Anything revolving around entertainment and tourism is one of the worst hits, definitely. I mean, it's an extraordinary situation. No one was prepared for it, to be honest. Even as you mentioned, festivals abroad, no matter how big you are, it's still a showstopper. It's still an issue. Jobs are on the line. Events are on the line. Festivals are on the line. So we had to be honest all throughout the situation. It is serious, and we needed everyone to pitch in and help. We took a phased approach when all this issue started. We tried to reassure the customers that even if we had to cancel the festival, we would be in a position to refund everyone. We took a stance. We always wanted to offer refunds. So, I mean, it's very reassuring that we're not just a dodgy promoter that's going to run off with all your money if we don't manage to stage the festival.
Right.
And I mean, it's fair enough. We understand that a lot of people have been hard hit. People have lost jobs. People are on reduced income, so it's understandable that some people would need to get their money back, even if maybe they'll end up buying the ticket again for 2021. Yeah, so that's the first thing we did. When the festival was eventually cancelled, we offered the option for a refund, and we did a strong campaign for people to save the ticket for the next edition. The campaign turned out to be a test of brand loyalty, and we're overwhelmed with all the encouragement. And it's very reassuring what a loyal fan base we have, both here locally, more than both the foreign section of the fan base. Everyone understood the importance of retaining your ticket. I mean, the
Right.
festival will still be held. I hate to say it's cancelled. It's postponed.
Fair enough.
So this just ensures a smooth transition into 2021 for us. I mean, it's no secret. Everything depends on our income, and our income has basically grinded to a halt over the past days, obviously.
Yes.
Aside from that, we're very grateful, as you said, and we've also offered everyone who saves that ticket a small discount on any future tickets as a small token of our appreciation.
Brilliant. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nice to hear that, especially when we're seeing even comments and stuff unrelated
Yeah,
to festivals and music, where there are people who are actually trying to profit from the situation and actually charging them fees and all this for canceling. It's
Yeah,
it's a bit
and
unfair, and people won't forget how you acted in these times.
yes, but also people don't realize that you still have costs that went out, and sometimes to refund there are credit card charges and such
Yeah,
that you actually end up paying. But as you said, I believe you did the right move because the cost that you pay and these fees, what you get out of brand loyalty is amazing, and it will pay dividends down the line.
yeah. We've always believed in investing in our brand, and this was a very good test, and it pays off. We're very surprised. I mean, people actually wanted to buy tickets as well to support us.
I saw that comment.
Yeah, people
Yeah,
actually bought tickets as well. It's amazing.
that's
that's
amazing.
crazy.
That's amazing. Okay, so thanks for that. Very encouraging as well that people can benefit from next year and future years from discount or some freebie on that. So it hopefully next year it will be bigger than ever. So going into the actual planning of the festival. So what does this entail? I know it's a very big question, but if you could break it down to the
Yeah,
audience.
it's mainly just stress, anxiety, and sleepless nights.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, planning actually, we split it into phases, which we work throughout the year. It's a yearly process. So at first there's planning in general, then we start working on curation and the lineup, which is one of the biggest elements in the festival. Following that, when that's finalized, we'll also be working on our product launch, usually at the beginning of the year. So we launch all the lineup all together. We launch ticket sales. It's a very big thing for us. I think it's one of the most exciting times for us, aside from the festival. But it involves almost a lot of work, as much as the festival does. After we launch, then we start working on production. We start fine-tuning the details, and following the event, we do some post-event tasks. Like, for example, we send out surveys to all our paying customers, make sure we get as much feedback as we can gather, and we do action all the feedback. We get back to people, and we appreciate all
Hmm.
the, even if they're constructively negative.
Okay,
I
cool.
I think you go about it in a very small way, and for the people who don't know and might be listening, your campaign to sell tickets, it's not just a local campaign; it's an international
No,
campaign.
yeah, that's correct.
And correct. And in fact, I think it's one of the most festivals where I see foreigners come specifically for the event. So this is something that's not just for the locals, but it helps tourism. Last year, I don't know if you have a number, but there could have been more foreigners than Maltese at the event. I mean, it was from all over the world.
Yeah, it was close to a 50-50 split. We had around 4,000 tourists traveling from 60, oh, I think it was over 60 different countries. The numbers are huge, and I mean, if when we started planning out the festival, if you told me there'd be 4,000 tourists traveling to a festival in Malta, I would have laughed it off. Even though we knew that the feasibility of the festival depends on tourism. And I mean, the festival isn't something that's for a broad audience. It's not a commercial music event, so it's even more tricky. I mean, there's a limitation um, to as in everything in Malta. So I mean, the numbers are limited, and we do depend on tourists. It makes it interesting and tricky at the same time. I mean, we split the audience. We I think we cover roughly around two generations of people, and we have to split it between locals and foreign and the foreign base. So the marketing would be different depending on which kind of sector you fall under.
And in terms of, because you mentioned like, if I understood correctly, like two age brackets or two age groups, like does that depend on the type of lineup? Like, let's say Carl Cox is
Yeah,
going to attract an older audience, for example. What do you see in that respect?
yeah, it depends exactly. I mean, the lineup is very vast. It's always very balanced. I would say it reflects our roots. We've always made sure to include artists that have always been there, that have inspired us, like Doppler Effect, Lego Welt, and Jeff Mills, just to name a few. Then, as you
Okay.
mentioned, there we had all the big names over as well. So uh, it's very tricky to achieve the balance.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and we kind of already touched on it. You said like the planning starts from a year before. Does this change with as the additions go on? Like, does the time become shorter or longer the bigger the festival gets?
I think it gets longer.
Okay.
The work keeps on increasing. I mean, we're constantly tweaking the product and making sure to make it grow and improve the experience altogether. It takes a little bit over a year, especially when it comes to the lineup. I think we would have already started working on the next edition's lineup beforehand. Um,
During the time frame
yeah,
of that year, so you're already planning the next year.
yeah.
Well, okay.
Well, this year, obviously, we're already planning 2021. Everyone's working on 2021 much earlier than we would have in previous years. I mean, all the industries as a whole. So
Hmm.
shows are being postponed, and uh, it's a little bit chaotic at the moment.
Like even just the selection process of the lineup. How many DJs did you have this year, for instance?
Um, this year, I think we had close to 40 international acts and all.
Yeah, so like even just selecting those 40, and so I would imagine like making your
Yeah,
own list and seeing their availabilities, and
exactly.
people came from previous years, building the relationships, setting up accommodation. It's
Yeah, the long
just
list of
mentioning this, the small list already gives me
yeah.
anxiety.
In fact, getting back to where we started, I think a lot of people helped out, even artists helped us out. We had a good relationship with a lot of agencies and artists, and everyone helped out in the beginning. It would have not been possible to, even though it was on a much smaller scale, the lineup was relatively strong in the first year. It was quite strong. And I mean, it wouldn't have been possible without everybody pitching in to help some way or another.
Cool. We actually have one comment here. I just showed on the screen by Owen Sherry. So keep up the good work, guys.
Thank you.
I'd encourage anyone to ask any questions or add any comments in the Facebook thread. It would be great to hear from you. So thanks, Owen, and we'll go to the next question. So you started off by saying that you started by a series of club nights, one-off events, etc. So how is a festival different from an event? Would you say?
Yeah, as John was touching on to it in the other question, it's completely different. The logistics and the scale of the festival is completely different. Just from a logistical perspective, we have so many people coming over. I mean, if you just look at the artists, most of them come with an entourage of people over as well. So it's not just 40 people. We also have foreign teams coming over, light technicians, light teams. We have Boiler Room, which is quite a big project in itself. It's like a mini festival in the festival.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are a number of teams working together on the nights, making sure that all the stages are up and running, basically.
Yeah. Okay. And what
Yeah.
would you say is the most important aspect of Glitch Festival?
The product as a whole. I mean, a lot of elements need to come together to create the experience. But if I had to just pick one, it would definitely have to be the lineup. The lineup is the ultimate selling point. I mean, then when it's executed, when the show happens, people need to come out of there with an amazing experience. They need to talk about it. It's something that happens and create that fear of missing out factor for the next years or for their friends who haven't attended. It takes time, but these things work really gradually. I mean, the product grows. It takes a lot of time. Every festival has taken years to grow gradually.
Right.
Correct. And I would say, like, what most important aspect of Glitch Festival. So I'm not gonna talk about one, but all the Glitch festivals, and like you topped it up year after year. Like every year, it went actually bigger, and that is also part of the experience because that is what people say once they leave Glitch Festival. Like how awesome it was last year was great, but this
Yeah.
year it was even better, and that is very difficult to do and keep up, right?
Yeah, it's very difficult to do and keep up. I mean, what we did in that way, growing slowly, we every year we reduced the risk. Kind of, we didn't go all out in the first year, on the second year, and every year, as you were saying, we're just adding on. There is a vision we have of where we want to get to, and we're always getting there slowly and improving the experience. But I mean, it would be a little bit like in any business, it would be a little bit foolish to rush these things.
Correct.
Yeah. And okay, so in terms of we spoke and you just touched on it, like the one of the most important aspects is the lineup, right?
Yeah.
So what is the process that you go through for choosing the headliners, choosing the rest of the lineup?
So, as in ultimately the choices, we base a lot of our choices on data, and on top of that, our own experience and the gut feeling of having the foresight to spot a smaller artist or an artist that's going to be popular within the next year or so. Other than that, it's very, very tricky. I would say it's the most tricky task for the festival because, I mean, it all goes down to budgeting. We just can't book everyone that comes to our head or when that people suggest.
Yeah.
Following that, when we shape up some sort of a budget, some sort of a lineup within budget, we would be also looking at the stage splits. So when we book an artist, we would know the actual time slot of when we would like them to perform. They would also agree to it. So it's not just a matter of, hey, I'm going to play at your festival. Every artist would want to know the whole lineup from especially the stage they'll be performing on, including local artists as well.
All right. And before you mentioned that you, and I actually received it myself, like you actually send out a survey where
Yeah.
you ask people like, who would you like to see? So how much, and I've actually seen, or I have put in names that I actually saw on the festival after. So I don't know if that was a coincidence or if that was just like many people recommending the same person. How much weight does that hold for you guys?
No, it's not a coincidence. Actually, it's one of the most important factors behind everything. I mean, it's a measure for us to track trends and what people want. It's a bit tricky to achieve the perfect balance. I mean, we can't go all out and book just artists that are really popular with people at this moment in time, like just what people want.
Right.
We try to balance it out with what we think would work well as well.
Right.
And how
All
they
right.
work with each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Okay. So I can't believe that nearly half an hour has passed already, and we're like halfway through the questions. But just putting that out there. So again, how the compliment, right? Because for me,
Yeah,
the every edition, what I really liked as well, apart from obviously, and we get to that, the interaction of the lights and the sound and how it all comes together. It's like there is like the artists complement each other, even the local artists. Like I remember. Last year. The set of Sean Rickett, I believe it was the warm up to Hell and a Half. Like it
yeah,
was the perfect warm up, right? Now there is an element, of course, of the artist showing up and delivering on that, but there's also
yeah.
the placement of that artist by the promoter, by the organizer. So how important, for me personally, this is extremely important, but is this something that you put a lot of effort into or just like falls into place to create this balance?
No, we've put a lot of effort into it. It's very important to have that balance, as you were saying. If you had to classify the artists, I think both are equally important. Headliners, and I wouldn't like to refer to them as supporting acts. To be honest, I don't really believe in having fillers in your lineup just to have a big
Sure.
poster. So, but yeah, I mean, the smaller scale artists are equally important. They add the depth to the festival. If it would have been just a couple of headliners, it's just a big concert and not a festival, to be honest. And as you mentioned, we give us a lot of importance to locals playing at peak times. We've had a couple of good performances. Sean was one of them, as you mentioned, from what I hear. I don't get to listen to a whole set during the festival.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Cool. And how so regarding the vibe creation, and vibe again in a festival is a big word because it starts from even the branding, like the video to promote the
yeah,
festival. That is already setting the tone for the vibe. The color schemes that you use, the artist,
yeah.
the lighting, the whole shebang. What's the process here? What's the creative process?
Um, on site, as much as we can, we try to roam around and get a good feel and maybe a glimpse of what the people experience. So every year we spot areas where we can improve, and we're always thinking of what to do next. As you mentioned, there are a lot of elements that go into creating the perfect vibe or atmosphere. The lineup is definitely one of the most uh, important things, especially the progression of the timetable as it goes along. From a production perspective, I would say the lighting and the sound are starting points, obviously, for a good atmosphere.
Yeah, and last year it was definitely banging. I had the privilege to actually see the light guy Juan perform, and for me as a fanboy, it was an experience. I thought it was all preset, but he was actually
No.
performing live, like listening to the music, feeling the music, and adjusting the light accordingly. And it was an actual performance, so it wasn't just the DJ playing. The light guy is there, and it was a big hit with as you said, it's a big part of the experience.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people working backstage. That's their work. I mean, it's very hard to spot, but it's actually crazy atmosphere as you mentioned. They're amazing teams. Most of them are not just working there; they're actually big fans of the festival as well. So they put their heart into it, and I would definitely recommend all the teams we work with. I mean, it's a lot of people coming together. If you just look at the main stage, um, the sound is managed by one team, the light is managed by two teams. There's Juan from Nexus. We've also brought down a team from France, from Module, to work out with some special lighting as well, and it worked brilliantly. The other stages also have each stage has a unique atmosphere. Light Interactive there do an amazing job, and this was showcased in the boiler room as well. So it was an amazing experience. We're lucky that we use Jampula Village. The flexibility of the venues is a big plus for us. I mean, the venues are all different. They all have a different feel to them. The only challenge we have we had when we moved in there was how to change them slightly, so that especially for the local crowd, you're not walking into the club that you can go to week in week out. So it has to feel like you're at the festival.
Um, how may I ask how big is your management team? Because you're dealing with hundreds of people working on this event. It's not just the lineup, but people managing the sound, people setting up the stages, people at the door. Do you have a ballpark idea of how many people are involved?
I have no idea how to be honest. A lot. And, um, I mean, roughly just from our end, with teams would have contracted, I would say around 200 people. I'm not sure. I'm just throwing
Wow.
it out there, but it's a lot of people, yeah. And also have a very good team of volunteers that are exceptional. They help us setting up, help us dismantle, help us on the days. I mean, without them, it wouldn't even be possible. And they love the festival probably more than we do. Some of them are complaining that we're canceling because they're not going to get roasted in the sun that week.
Great team.
Type. All right. So, in terms of, you mentioned even like with in terms of lighting, but I noticed that you do have different teams, right? For
Yeah,
in terms of lighting and the sound, you need to work with different
yeah,
uh, entities because of the multiple stages, because of boiler room, etc. So, how does this work? And I'll add to this as well in terms of the videography team and the photography team.
yeah,
I
yeah.
noticed that you're working literally with teams of people who are
Exactly.
technically competitors.
Yeah. Everyone comes together. It's a big event, so there is no one team that can handle all the stages. Some as I mentioned, some of the bigger stages, like the main stage, there'll be a number of teams. Other stages will be handled separately by different teams.
Right. Okay. Cool. So going to a very big question. You mentioned again in the beginning, you are a local brand, but you are attracting a 50-50 audience, a 50% foreign audience from 60 countries, I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
How this is a huge feat. It's a huge achievement. Um, how how did you even start with this, and how did you manage?
Well, we started very slowly. We invest a lot in marketing abroad through the right channels. It's very hard to target your audience as such because our fan base is split mainly in Europe, but throughout a lot of countries. I wouldn't just single out UK, Italy, or just one country. So targeting the audience is very tricky. It grew year on year. Word of mouth is exceptional. As it works here, it works abroad, I'm sure. And we sell Malta as a whole package in the festival. It's a summer destination, and I mean everyone that comes over here and enjoys it. It's not just the festival; they roam around, they go to the beaches, they go to Gozo, Comino, etc. All the cultural spots.
And you actually added the boat party element with later on,
Yeah.
and I have been on the boat party, and the majority of the people are actually the foreigners. Would
Yeah, the boat is probably 90% foreigners, if not even more. And it was designed to give another element to the festival and showcase as much of Malta as we can throughout the festival and to the foreigners. So they look forward to it. It's for us, it's one of the best days. Everything would be over practically.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's something that we can enjoy throughout, not like the festival. Yeah.
Kevin,
Uh-huh.
how was the support of like the Malta Tourism Authority and because this is such a big impact to the tourism. So if there are 4,000 foreigners, that
Mhm.
means 4,000 people are in hotels or in Airbnbs, traveling to Malta, go shopping. So there's a tremendous impact to the economy, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, lately festivals have been pushed by the tourism authority, and it's a niche market, and it's starting to grow in Malta. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. I hope it don't turn into any visa, to be honest.
There's a bit of a chicken and egg situation because you need people or teams to create these festivals to attract people to Malta for it, and then you need the support side from because this shouldn't be just an expense by the festival owners. So maybe if you are a smaller operation starting out, I
Mm.
get it. But if you continue proving yourself time and time over again, and the numbers are increasing, then support should increase accordingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very tricky thing. The support should increase accordingly. There is support, but as in everything, I think the touristic product can improve a lot and more overall.
Cool. All right. So, being aware of time, just getting to the last couple of questions here. So, it has been a rough ride, right? I
Yeah.
know that there have been issues with the weather. I think I've been there multiple times, and multiple times it rained. The show went on. Um, with COVID now as well, it's been hitting the it's hitting the festival industry hard, hitting Glitch hard.
Hmm.
How have you navigated through this storm, or multiple storms, and what keeps you going?
So yeah, I think every year we had issues with the weather. Somehow we always managed to deliver. The worst one definitely was in 2017, which was our second year. On the second day, there was a massive storm. I think there was like something like a month's worth of rain in 3 hours just before the show. We managed to open something like 4 hours late. Um, I'd like to thank the people at Jampula. And all the suppliers that were there. Everyone was running around the site, making sure to clean up the place. Um, it was crazy how we managed to open that time. Um, yeah, I mean, if you're passionate and crazy enough, you'll make it happen. Nothing will stop you except from COVID.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, we have two comments here from Alberta Lia. So she said, "Great show, guys," and also just Jasmine Camilleri will be a glitch Raynor's her son. Raynor's, yeah. So thanks, Alberta. We have another one. We had from Andrew. We had the birds at Busquet too.
That's one of my partners. Yes, we had the bird at Busquets too. Uh, in the first edition, we ended up all over the news after the first day. There were some birds in Busquets, and everyone was creating a massive issue out of the situation because apparently the the festival was a big problem to the birds.
Yeah, I remember that saga. It was hilarious.
That,
Considering what we do as a culture to birds.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I was trying not to mention it. In fact, the birds ended up, half of them ended up getting killed a couple of days later.
yeah.
yes, it's and I remember speaking with Rene and from Chateau Busquet, and I was saying the same things. Like people are shooting them
Crazy.
constantly, and a little bit of sound created such a stir. But what can you do?
Yes.
Um, Rene Portelli. He actually commented.
He's
Tell me
watching.
about it.
Hello, Rene.
So hello, Rene. Um, that's amazing.
Hi, Rene.
Uh, Hi,
Uh,
Rene.
yeah, he's also
Um,
one of our suppliers, and
Yes, another
what a great
amazing
guy.
venue.
Yes, for sure.
Another what? Sorry.
Another amazing venue where we started
Yeah,
off.
yeah. It's where John got married as well, by the way,
Yes.
a few
Ah,
layers
okay.
later. So, it is a special venue. So the final, we are basically on the 40-minute mark, which is where we usually end. But we do have some more time. I would like to ask two kind of questions.
Okay.
One is, what is the vision for Glitch Festival? Will you continue on the same vision, or has this changed with because of the situation or because of whatever? The vision, basically.
No, the vision remains the same. I mean, everyone's going to be a little bit cautious. We're seeing a lot of things change in the industry, especially with artists and agents as well. Everyone's being very understanding overall. But no, the vision will remain the same. The product will keep the standard of our product, and we will continue to improve it definitely. I mean, we've gone through a lot of changes. Mostly last year, something worth mentioning. We also included Boiler Room in our festival, which
Yeah.
has something of a milestone for us. I mean,
For sure.
yeah, we are very surprised to get the call. They got in touch themselves when we
Ah,
after
so
we
they
released.
approached you.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing.
Wow.
At first, we thought it was a big joke because it was a couple of days after we launched the lineup, I remember. But it had a tremendous effect on the people, especially on the product in general, especially when it comes to exposure with tourists in other country. I mean, just the just from last year's edition, the performances alone racked up over 3 million views,
Wow.
which is
Wow.
something crazy. There were
Yeah.
also two local performing artists, which was a first, and we're very proud about that. So Glitch also stands to be a very good platform for local artists, and we're working on a lot of other stuff, especially with the Glitch Club series, to to make sure to include as many of the local talent as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the boiler room, for me it was something special, even because of the artists that performed there.
Yeah.
But I was also interested in knowing, like, was it of a catapult, would you say, for Maltese artists, that they got like literally tens of thousands of views on their name is now a global thing. So would you say that it helped them catapult their career forward, or is it still too early to say?
It's very hard to say actually. Yes, but it will have an effect definitely, as it had on the festival. It will have an effect on the artists, and it will continue to have. I'll be very excited to push more local artists onto the platform in the future.
Right.
The Boiler Room will be
Right.
back.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that's a further validation of the
Yeah,
scale and magnitude and the level of the festival and the artists that you are bringing to Malta.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct. I mean, it's a seal of approval from an industry giant. It's something you can't really buy, so it's amazing for us.
We have two comments here. One from Matthew Calle and good job, guys. Nice haircut, Kev. Um, uh, and Stephanie Attard is saying Martina Beck Prosit.
So yeah, Matthew's part of the media team. Actually, I'd like to mention the media team. You touched onto it before, Ben. They do an amazing job.
They
We
do,
have
yeah.
a lot of people running around everywhere, um, different teams with different tasks. Without them, the product would be completely different. I mean, especially in terms of the material we gather, which
Yeah.
we would promote the event.
But it is, and I would like to make a shout out to. I know there's people like in Late Interactive. I can't
Yeah.
mention everyone because I can't remember and I don't
I
even know.
don't
But
forget. I don't leave anyone out. Exactly.
on a personal note, like Late Interactive, what they did was amazing. Even the photography, like people like Dragana, it's amazing.
Yeah,
The video cafe, it's really top notch stuff, guys. So if you
yeah,
are listening,
all
really well
around
done.
it's a showcase mainly of the talent that's available here in Malta. There are a lot of talented people around. They're very passionate and they're very
Yeah,
passionate about glitch, which is something that's very important to us. I'll be happy to recommend anyone that works around glitch.
amazing. All right, thanks, Kevin. Any final words about glitch? Maybe we can even do a call out to people if they want to start the survey early, like if they want to tell us who they want to see at this festival. Feel free to put it in the comments. But any final words from Kevin on behalf of glitch?
Yeah, I think, especially with the situation going around with COVID, it was a hard reset for all the economies, for the industry, for the entertainment industry. Maybe in a way it was much needed. I mean, people have been taking things for granted. I mean, everyone, including us. Maybe it's about time we appreciate everything that's around us even more. And as you mentioned in the title, there are great risks involved in doing something of this scale and even of any scale when it comes to an event. I mean, as I mentioned before, there's a very strong scene, a lot of smaller promoters hanging around, and they're all doing a very good job. And they're also exposed to a lot of risks, just the same.
Yeah, with
For
John
sure.
and I discuss events a lot, and we always say like events is one of the most volatile business that you can be in because there's so many moving parts that can go wrong and stuff that is not within your
Yeah, no
control. We
matter how much
mentioned
you plan.
that it takes a certain caliber of a person to be able to withstand the constant pressure that goes in. So yeah, respect to the people that do so.
Correct, and exactly, and that is why we respect so much what you and your team have done.
Thank you, guys.
But it's by far not easy. We, even after this discussion, I'm sure that we don't know half of what goes on to getting something like this up and running. But people will respect anyone who aim big and then actually manage to hit their target no matter what happens. So respect for you guys and for your team and for your suppliers. It's a great job. It was exciting speaking with you and working with you in past events as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me over, guys.
It
Thanks
was a
so
pleasure.
much. It's been a pleasure. So I'm gonna wave you goodbye out of the stream, guys, and I'll
Bye.
just bring the show to a close. Thanks so much, Kevin. Thanks so much,
Thank you.
John.
Cheers.
Okay. All right. So there you have it, episode 5 of the Evently Chat Show. Really great show with Kevin Ellul from English Festival. We've touched on a lot of topics. Very interesting for us personally. I hope it was interesting to you as the viewers. Thank you all for the comments. It has been great. Thank you for the viewership because we could see high numbers already. So it's been great. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Thanks to Kevin. Thanks to John. Have a good one. Take it easy. Bye bye.